It was supposed to be a routine scientific expedition. A flight from a remote research base in Chile to a station deep in Antarctica. A journey that would change Jordan P. Ackerman's life, and the lives of those who would hear his story, forever. What happened on that flight remains shrouded in mystery, raising questions that no one can seem to answer. Jordan, a seasoned survivalist and adventure enthusiast, had always been drawn to the extreme. His career as a researcher in extreme environments had earned him a reputation as one of the toughest minds in the field. When the opportunity arose to join an elite team of scientists studying the icy, uncharted regions of Antarctica, he jumped at the chance. But no one could have anticipated what would unfold. It started like any other flight. The aircraft, a sturdy twin-engine propeller plane, had been specially outfitted for polar expeditions. Jordan boarded alongside a small crew of researchers and pilots, heading toward an isolated outpost that would serve as their base of operations. The weather report was clear, the flight route mapped out. They took off from Punta Arenas, Chile, and soared into the icy expanse of the southern hemisphere. The first few hours passed without incident. The landscape below was a vast, endless sea of white, pristine, untouched, and silent. Jordan sat in the back, peering out the window, the overwhelming stillness of the Antarctic wilderness filling him with a sense of awe. The crew occasionally conversed over the hum of the engines, but there was nothing unusual about the journey, until the storm hit. It started as a faint shift in the wind, followed by dark clouds rolling in from the horizon. The pilots, experienced veterans of polar flights, had encountered such storms before. But this one was different. As the wind howled and the turbulence intensified, the plane was thrown off course. The radar malfunctioned. Static filled the communication channels. And then, without warning, the engines sputtered. The pilots tried to stabilize the craft, but it was too late. The plane spiraled downward, and all Jordan could hear was the deafening roar of wind and the shrill scream of metal. When Jordan awoke, he was alone. The plane had crashed into the ice, its fuselage shattered. The wreckage was a twisted metal graveyard, half buried beneath a thick layer of snow. The engines were silent. The world outside was still. The sky was dark, heavy with clouds that seemed to press down on the frozen earth. His body ached from the impact, his mind foggy. For a moment, he didn't know where he was, or even if he was still alive. He staggered out of the wreckage, his breath visible in the frigid air. The cold cut through him like a blade. He checked for the rest of the crew, but they were nowhere to be found. There was no sign of the pilot, no trace of the other researchers. It was as if they had vanished. Jordan searched for hours, trudging through the snow and ice. The radio was dead, the satellite phone buried under debris. He was alone. His survival instincts kicked in, and he knew he had to act fast. He gathered supplies from the wreckage, some food rations, a flare gun, and a few tools, and set off in the direction he thought the research base might be. But with each passing hour, something felt off. As night fell, Jordan took shelter in a small snow cave he had dug. The temperature dropped dramatically, and the wind picked up, howling through the desolate landscape. He tried to sleep, but something in the air kept him awake. A feeling. A presence. It was as if the ice itself was alive, watching him. At midnight, he was jolted awake by a strange noise, a low, echoing hum, distant but unmistakable. It sounded like something mechanical, but it wasn't a plane. It wasn't any machine he had ever heard. He grabbed the flare gun and rushed out into the storm, his heart racing. But there was nothing. No sign of the source of the hum. Just the empty, endless expanse of white. The next morning, as Jordan set out again, he found something disturbing. Footprints. Large, irregular prints in the snow, too big to be human, too deep to be an animal. And they led in the direction of the crash site. He froze, staring at them. They weren't his footprints. They weren't anyone's. But they were fresh. Days passed, and Jordan's supplies dwindled. He was weak, starving, and frostbitten, but he couldn't stop. The need to escape, to survive, was overwhelming. Yet the closer he got to what he thought was the research base, the more the landscape seemed to shift. The storm never ceased. The snow never stopped falling. And then, one night, he saw it. A light. It flickered in the distance, shimmering against the dark sky. It wasn't a flare, and it wasn't from a plane. It was an ethereal glow, almost like a beacon calling him. He followed it through the blizzard, desperate to find the source. What he found, he can never fully describe. Some say it was a hidden underground research facility. Others claim it was an ancient structure, built long before humanity ever set foot on the frozen continent. But Jordan's account is more cryptic. He describes entering the glow, only to feel time itself warping. His body seemed to shift in ways he couldn't comprehend. The ground beneath him felt like it was alive, like the earth itself was breathing. The next thing Jordan remembers, he was waking up in the snow once again, disoriented, and far from the glowing light. It was 2 weeks later when a rescue team found him. They were baffled by his appearance. He was emaciated, half delirious, and spoke of things that didn't make sense. Of the hums in the night, the footsteps that weren't human, and the light that seemed to call him from the depths of the ice. But when the rescue team found the crash site, the wreckage was gone. There were no signs of the plane, no trace of his fellow crew members. And when they examined the area where he had been found, they discovered something even stranger: footprints. Jordan's footprints. The truth about what happened to Jordan P. Ackerman in Antarctica remains a mystery. Did he encounter something otherworldly in the depths of the frozen landscape? Was there a hidden force, a supernatural presence, guiding or tormenting him? The questions linger. The answers remain elusive. Some say Jordan never truly left Antarctica. That the ice holds secrets far older and darker than anyone could imagine. And for those brave enough, or foolish enough, to venture into the unknown, the question remains: what is still out there, beneath the snow, waiting? Did Jordan survive by sheer will, or did something more mysterious guide him through the impossible? Comment your theories below, and don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable stories from the unknown.